Қайырлы таң, құрметті ханымдар мен мырзалар, аса мәртебелі меймандар, құрметті қатысушылар және қадірлі достар. Good morning, honored participant, guests and friends. Қазіргі уақытта біз жыл сайын өтетін маңызды шараға жиналып отырмыз. 2024 жылғы медиафорум. Бұл халықаралық мамандар журналистиканың болашағы, жаңа технологиялар мен шындыққа жету жолындағы қиындықтар туралы пікір талас жүргізетін бірегей алаң болмақ. I am very delighted to welcome you to this forum with such an important and relevant theme, enhancing journalism, navigating the intersection of artificial intelligence and information manipulation. The world around us is changing at an astonishing pace. Artificial intelligence has already become an integral part of our lives, but with its development, the threat of information manipulation also grows. Journalism is our window to reality, our bridge between facts and the audience. Today, more than ever, it is crucial to understand how we can preserve its integrity and transparency by leveraging the opportunities provided by artificial intelligence while simultaneously combating disinformation. Today's forum is not just an event, it is a space for dialogue, the exchange of ideas, and the search for solutions. Here, thought leaders, experts, researchers, and journalists come together to discuss the future of the information space. Ханымдар мен мырзалар, форумның салтанатты ашылуын жүргізу үшін бізге көмек пен қолдау көрсеткен, оның ұйымдастырылуы мен ынтымақтастығының дамуына үлкен үлес қосқан тұлғаларды дәл қазір ортаға сіздердің зор қошеметтеріңізбен шақырамыз. To inaugurate our forum, let me invite those who have made an invaluable contribution to its organization and the development of cooperation. Құттықтау сөз Қазақстан Республикасындағы Еуропалық одақ өкілдігінің елшісі Олешка Симкич ханымға беріледі. I would like to give the floor to Ms. Oleshka Simkic, Ambassador of the European Union delegation to the Republic of Kazakhstan, for her greeting. Welcome.
Koprahmet, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I have to first start by saying thank you for giving me a lot of credit for organizing this, but I have to say that the team around here is the one that is responsible, and all of you, all of those who you will see sitting in these chairs, and those who have put this Vystavka together. So I am just somebody who speaks on their behalf, but it is really their credit, and I'd really like to say this at the beginning of this particular media forum. It is the second forum that we are organizing, and as we in the European Union are never able to make a short title, of course we made a very long one and a very complicated tongue breaker, so I will not repeat it, you can read it, and the moderator has nicely said it also in Kazakh, I understand. But what it does entail, this title, of course, is exactly what we are dealing now in this difficult world we are living in. It's not easy. Just this morning I read news about the French government falling. We are talking about German government being discussed. There is a lot of discussions about what is going on in different parts of the world. We are watching the wars, we are watching the climate change. So we are not living in an easy world, and sometimes it feels that there is like a dominoes. You see one bad news, one bad breaking news, and then just next one follows. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because the media is really crucial when we are discussing all of these difficult things. Sometimes it even influences some of the difficult developments in the world. And this is why the role of all of you participants in this forum, of the journalists, of editors, of everybody who is dealing with the social media, of everybody who is influencer, if you wish, is so important in order to make this world a little bit better. Today's topic is artificial intelligence. It is, we are constantly saying it's something new, but it's been with us for quite a while, but we are somehow still learning about it. It's us in the European Union that is very much learning about it. It's here in Kazakhstan that we can see the impacts of the media and artificial intelligence. We see it. We see it how it is. It can be used in a very positive sense because, of course, it can amplify the messages that we want to give in a better way. But if put in the wrong hands, it can be a weapon that can mean abuse, and it can mean that things will actually go much worse. And I think this is one of the intentions of this particular forum, is to really see how we can use the artificial intelligence in a positive sense. We are not going to stop it anymore. It's there to stay with us. So we have to see how you, in the media field and other colleagues, and I hope that this amplifies the message to everybody around you, how we can use the artificial intelligence in a good way. For me, this is a new topic. I don't understand it. I looked at all the pictures around and they look absolutely fascinating, so I look forward to hearing about what they actually mean. They look like, somebody said in the coffee break, this looks like science fiction, and it indeed does, but science fiction is here. We are not anymore in this kind of science fiction. Sometimes you have a feeling that it's already around us. These are just a couple of words that I wanted to say, but please use this forum for interesting discussions that you will have. We will have with the people on the panel in a different discussions. Use it for networking. Use it for mutual exchanges. That's what actually these fora are sometimes even better for than for the sessions that we will hear. But allow me just at the end to thank, and I have to read this so that I don't forget anybody. I'd namely like to thank the European Union member states who have helped us put this exhibition together. It's Belgium, Estonia, Finland, Lithuania, Netherlands, Poland, and Portugal. And of course, students of Maksut Naribayev School of Journalism who join us in making this media forum interesting and thought-provoking. I'm also very thankful to Maksut Naribayev University. They're always very helpful to cooperate with us on different things, and it was also this time around instrumental in organizing this successful forum. And particularly, I'd like to thank the CEO of the university, Mr. Talhat Naribayev. And if you allow me, I understand, I come from Slovenia, and what happens in Slovenia is that you can wish happy birthday to somebody even 3 days after it has happened. And I understand you had one 2 days ago, so happy birthday to you, wishing you all the luck and happiness. And with these happy words, and I know that he will speak just after me, so I just want to thank everybody for coming here and to wish you really successful and good exchanges in this forum. All the best. Rahmet.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your warm, welcoming remarks. Құрметті ханымдар мен мырзалар, енді сөз кезегін Мақсұт Нарикбаев университетінің бас директоры Талғат Қайыржанович Нарикбаев мырзаға береміз. Ол бүгін университеттің есігін осы маңызды диалогқа ашып отыр. Сол себептен бірінші кезекте өзіңізге көптен көп рахмет айтамыз. Now we would like to give the floor to Mr. Talgat Narikbayev, CEO of Maksut Narikbayev University, who has opened the doors of his university for this important dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished speakers, dear guests and participants. Welcome to the Astana Media Forum 2024 at Maksut Narikbayev University. It is an honor to host this significant event with European Union, of course, where we explore the transformative impact of artificial intelligence on journalism and the pressing challenge of countering misinformation. As a university dedicated to preparing professionals for the challenges of tomorrow, we have taken steps to contribute to the development of journalism in Kazakhstan. This is why in 2023, with the support of the television and radio complex of the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan, we proudly opened the International School of Journalism. This initiative reflects our commitment to equipping the next generation with the skills and knowledge needed to address the challenges of a rapidly changing world. The topics of this forum align with our belief that informed and ethical journalism is essential for a healthy and transparent society. We are convinced that advancing journalistic practices and countering misinformation are critical steps toward fostering public trust and protecting democratic values. I express my gratitude to Her Excellency Ambassador Alexka Simkic and delegation of the European Union in Kazakhstan for organizing this forum, as well as to the distinguished speakers for sharing their expertise and insights. I wish all participants engaging discussions and meaningful outcomes as we collectively address the challenges and opportunities facing journalism today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Narypaev. Ladies and gentlemen, Media Forum 2024 is officially open. So let this day mark the beginning of a constructive dialogue and new solutions that will help us together overcome challenges and create a bright future for journalism. What lies ahead for us? We have an interesting program, inspirational addresses from key speakers, discussions about the future of the media space, and of course, the opportunity to exchange questions and ideas with those who discuss the future of journalism. We are confident that every participant today will find something valuable and inspiring. The organizer of Media Forum 2024 is the delegation of the European Union to the Republic of Kazakhstan. The forum is available with English, multilingual simultaneous translation into Kazakh and Russian in the hall. Ханымдар мен мырзалар, форумның жұмыс тілі ағылшын тілі екенін естеріңізге сала кетеміз. Ал залда қазақ және орыс тілдерінде көп тілді синхронды аударма бар. Құлаққа балмаған әріптестеріміз болса, оны біздің залдан алсаңыздар болады. Көп рахмет. Dear guests, we now proceed to the first panel session of Media Forum 2024, devoted to one of the most discussed topics of today, artificial intelligence, a game changer for disinformation and information manipulation. Artificial intelligence, on one hand, offers unprecedented opportunities for combating disinformation, and on the other, it is becoming a tool of manipulation itself. Today, our speakers will help us understand how to adapt to these challenges and how to use new technologies for the benefit of society. And dear colleague, please share your knowledge by activity partition. Please allow me to introduce the participants of the first session. Martina Bildukevich, Deputy Head of Strategic Communication Division and Head of East Stratcom Task Force, European External Action Service via Zoom. She will be online with us. Linas Skirios, co-founder of Civic Resilience Initiative, trainer for media. Asel Kozhakova, official representative of Euronews in Kazakhstan. Karla Zhamankulova, the president of the International Foundation for the Protection of Freedom of Speech, Adel Söz. And of course, to give structure and depth to this discussion, we have invited a person who is discussing the future journalists of Kazakhstan, a true master of words, Aygul Jamalova, Dean of the International School of Journalism at Maksut Narypaev University, as a leader in educating the future workforce of Kazakhstani journalism. Please welcome, dear moderator, and ladies and gentlemen. We wish you a fruitful session.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm very excited to welcome all of you here at Maksut Narypaev University because it's also our very first event in International School of Journalism. This is why we are so excited. Another reason of our happiness because we are definitely responsible today for preparing a new wave of journalists, and this is why the topic of AI is crucial for us as well. So today's panel's discussion's topic is artificial intelligence, a game changer for disinformation and information manipulation. I hope that everyone understands key terms correctly, and today we have a lot of students here as well. This is why I just want to once again clarify the difference between disinformation and manipulation. Disinformation is always purposeful, is always calculated, and always have ideological goal, and it's always about context, while media manipulation is a set of media instruments that could be used for giving a specific context. It could be agenda setting, it could be priming, framing, or narrative, and also, as we know, disinformation is widely used, for example, during elections or during global situations, global challenges as COVID-19, for example. And today we are lucky to have about 4 experts with different backgrounds, professional backgrounds, and I hope that today we will be able to have a really insightful topic so that everyone who is here will leave with certain answers to their own questions. So also I think that we should specify that artificial intelligence is changing media landscape rapidly, and even just 10 years ago, situation globally was completely different. And in Kazakhstan, maybe just 5 years ago, my colleagues who are also working within the field could admit that the situation was completely different. Today, as someone who is also works in academia, we are struggling with finding this balance between new technologies that we should to some extent support, but at the same time, we're trying to keep so we are understanding that our responsibility for ethical questions is also rising. So my first question is to Martina, that is also online with us here, Martina. So I know that you work closely with global communication strategies. Could you please share your personal experience, and how could you tell us how exactly is AI influencing cross-border disinformation efforts, and what roles this mean for international journalism?
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's 6:30 in Brussels and it's completely dark. I wish I was able to come to Astana to be there with you, but at least I can be here online. Thank you very much for having me. What we have seen observing disinformation activities globally for quite some time, quite a few years, is that AI in this context can be used, of course, to deceive, to manipulate, to disinform on a much larger scale, and I will come back to that very soon with specific examples. However, having studied also artificial intelligence as a tool that can help us advance our goals, our communication, the work in journalism, I think we are talking about tools here that can be used both for the positive and for the negative side. So this is why those developments in artificial intelligence and in modern technologies in general are so difficult to grasp sometimes. There are many positive sides from the journalistic perspective, from the communication perspective. We're talking about the possibility to automate the most mundane tasks, for example, which I think is something that we all can appreciate if we can focus more on the creative work and have algorithms and specific tools do the more mundane tasks for us, such as, transcriptions, summaries, and also if we can use AI to personalize content, to reach our audiences in a much more targeted, much more personalized way. I think these are fantastic developments that we should take advantage of and that we should learn how to use for the sake of spreading the facts and advancing our own communication. However, exactly the same tools can be used to deceive and manipulate, and this is why we are in a difficult time and challenging time these days. A few examples, if I may, on how AI-powered tools are used to advance disinformation. Of course, the whole world is talking about deepfakes. That's obviously one of the big challenges that we are facing these days. So This means deepfakes are basically fake videos generated with help of AI, to simplify this. What this can be used for, as far as malign actors and their disinformation tactics are concerned, this can be used to fake leadership statements. We saw, for example, President Zelensky in a fake video saying that Ukraine is giving up in its war, fighting against Russia. But what deepfakes can be used for as well is to harass activists, for example, to harass journalists. Deepfakes can be created quite easily with not a lot of money to portray fakely, of course, falsely, a person that is inconvenient to someone, that speaks truth to power, and can be harassed this way. And the newer trends, as far as deepfakes are concerned, is especially challenging, I think, and deceitful. It's called compositional deepfakes, which is about using real video, real footage, and just having small elements deepfaked in the video. So this is very confusing to anyone watching it, because it's very difficult to verify what is the real part and what is not. Of course, there are many developments in synthetic media. There is also quite a lot of development that we see in using an AI to do something that we, I hope, will be able to do as well, meaning audience research. So a deeper understanding of our particular audiences, so that we can craft the messages in a better way to those audiences. However, this is also used by malign actors who micro-target specific audiences with disinformation narratives. What is another emerging trend that I wanted to share with you is immersive simulation of conflicts. That means using both artificial intelligence and augmented reality and virtual reality in order to create realistic interactive experiences of a war, of a conflict, for example, and then also feed some fake footage or fabricated events into it. We can see this in gaming, and I think this is something that will be seen much more with time, with the development of AI tools. I think, well, from my perspective as a communicator and as a person working with civil society and with media a lot in different geographical contexts, I think what all of this means to our work is, and one of the biggest challenges here is trust, the erosion of trust. Many actors, many malign actors that exercise disinformation, they don't, and they have never put too much emphasis on the quality of their content, on the quality of what they produce and put out there in the information environment. For many of them, the crucial thing is to flood the information space with low quality content. It's not really about making us believe in a particular narrative that much. It's much more about making us all confused, not being able to verify what is true and what isn't. When we are not able to do that, we withdraw from public debates. We quite often choose not to go and vote, for example, because we can't really verify who is telling the truth and who is not, provided that it matters to us, and what kind of candidate we are supposed to choose when the debate is so polluted and full of disinformation, be it AI generated or not, actually. Of course, for journalists and for fact checkers, it means many more challenges with verification. And I think the omnipresence of AI, when we get there, in disinformation, means also lower quality of content that we consume in general, because it's kind of the lowest common denominator. We will adhere to lower standards than we should, and I think this is quite a problem.
Thank you.
However, what we have observed so far and especially this year when the whole world was talking about AI, elections, and disinformation. Of course, AI can make the disinformation threat bigger and definitely more challenging. However, AI-generated disinformation is far from being the majority of disinformation challenges that we face. It's one of them, but it's not the only one. We are still talking about over 300 different tactics that malign actors use to confuse us. And many of them, most of them are not generated by AI or nor helped by AI. That said, I do think AI will make this landscape of disinformation and information manipulation much more complex, and our job also more difficult. And I want to say a few words, if you allow me, about the European Union's response to disinformation and information manipulation. We have a framework, a toolbox, if you like. The ambassador started her speech by saying that we like long words. We also like acronyms in the EU. So we have something that is called FIMI Toolbox. And in short, this is a framework that help understand what each and every one of us can do, both on the civil society side, on the journalist side, on the side of international organizations and institutions, and particular states, of course, as well, to fight disinformation. And I think this toolbox is relevant to both traditional disinformation, if you like, and AI-generated disinformation, meaning the toolbox consists of 4 parts, from situational awareness to capacity building, such as trainings and strategic communication, to regulations, legal measures, also sanctions on those that disinform, and international cooperation, because disinformation knows no borders. I'm happy to elaborate if there is more time. For the time being, thank you so much.
Thank you, Martina. Yeah, very insightful. Also, I want to remind to our audience that you will also have chance to ask questions by the end of the session during Q&A. And now I want to ask Aser, who is not just representing Euronews here today, but also worked as media trainer for many, many years and was doing courses on media literacy as well, and has extended experience within PR field, and you were responsible for creating brands, not only personal brands, but also brands of countries. Could you please share your personal experience, how AI is changing your field and how you see the influence of AI to media landscape? Yes?
Is it, yeah, okay, now I hear myself. Yes. Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet you. I see many familiar faces today, and I'm very pleased to be invited and to be one of the speakers today. Well, for me personally, I'm just like a normal user. I do use AI, but we're talking about AI as a tool, because as a tool, it is very, very much progressive. I mean, and it has been progressed. So I would say it is a big of a positive outcome. I recently spoke to one of the outstanding AI specialists in the world, whose name is Gerd Leonhardt. He is an author of the book Technology versus Humanity. And he is like all these people who are promoting AIs, they all see only the positive outcomes of the tools. However, as a person working in the media and as a person working in the communications, I completely support all of the scares, I would say, right, of the specialists speaking about the manipulation and disinformation, because we see many, many things that are happening now. And I would also like to ask you, how many sources of information do you read before creating your own mind? 1, 2, 3. Do you read many? Okay. Do you read many sources of information to create your own mind? Can you raise your hand if you do, or you just read one source of information and you consider it's enough? Okay, you see? Multiple, right. Raise your hand for multiple sources of information. but still, here we are. Here we are. So I think now if we're talking about the AI influence on our everyday life, I would say it's a two-sided process. So we need to think now how to develop the critical thinking, because we have zero critical thinking at the moment, so we believe anything and almost everything what we read in the news, what we see, especially when we see it in the video. And the very exact moment you want to share this information, you spread this information because you believe what you see. However, now the time is changing, and you as media specialists, and you are the ones who are the influencers in this field, I would also recommend you not to do this. I mean, not to share the information that you see, because it could be manipulated. Because on the very next day, it normally happens when you see, the situation is different. It comes out that this person is not guilty because he was blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So never trust what you see. And I think we need to think of that now also for our kids. Because in the schools, the critical thinking in our schools is not actually a popular subject. So you just have to follow the rules. But now we see that there are no rules. And the world is changing much faster than we think. So one thing is the development of critical thinking. The other outcome that we need to think of is the government regulations. And it's not only the censor that will put, you are not allowed to do something, but using AI as a tool, again, as I said, is a good practice. During election campaigns, during any political speeches, during anything that is involving the public opinion, I think a person who is doing that, he would need to be regulated by the government in the sense that he needs to put kind of mark AI used in this campaign as a tool for creating videos, for distributing videos, for creating the database, working with data, for example, but not for manipulating the content itself. So I think we will come to that, and I also agree that it needs to be done not only in one country, it has to be done across the globe, because everything is changing and we need to adapt to the new reality. Also, speaking about the development of AI and which profession also it will also influence, I would also mention the journalism ethics, because this also needs to be, to my mind, needs to be regulated. From one thing, it's of course it's very, these clickbaits and these titles that would attract people is a good thing. However, you cannot manipulate with that because it's also a matter of the ethics. And I think in this sense, the journalism ethics needs to be more elaborated and more developed and taken care of. So, as a conclusion, I wouldn't take more time. I would say that the AI, there are different stakeholders. I mean, many stakeholders that are involved in the development of AI. Not only those who are producing information, but also those who are consuming the information. So it's the two-way game. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Carlo, my next question is to you. As someone who initiated a lot of projects on freedom of speech, how the AI tools today can be both a threat and an ally in promoting transparency and fighting disinformation in media?
Thank you, Egul. Alina, I'm sorry. Seems like we had one pessimist, optimist, but I will take the middle, leaving the rest for you to dive into the subject. Before I will start answering to this question, I just want to give you small anecdote from my life, GPT chat. Who is using it? Everyone, right? I'm using the one which is payment-based, the advanced one with all of these tools. I went in, I cleaned up all of these instructions, set clear facts, no interpretations, give me statistics, give me the links. I want to be very factual. And once because we do a lot of interesting events. And one of them, I was thinking like to organize one of the conferences where we will have a panel to discuss game theory. Who is familiar? It doesn't matter actually what means game theory. Nevertheless, I said like, do you have any suggestions for like prominent, good international and knowledge speaker on this topic? Like to suggest to invite the person to Astana. And GPT chat said, yes, I have, Thomas Schelling. What do you think about that? I said, like, it's a fantastic suggestion, by the way. He's Nobel Prize winner, his fundamental research in the conflict, in the strategy of conflict and cooperation is fundamental for everyone who is studying international relations, political science, communications. I don't know, like, in many, many fields, in economy, by the way, as well. There is just one tiny problem with invitation to Mr. Schelling. He passed away in 2016. And, and GPT, oops, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying this kind of things. What I wanted to say by this small anecdote. GPT chat is really great, and I agree with Cecile. It becomes part of our life. We can't live without these instruments anymore. Like, we humans get used to good things very quickly. The question is like, because I knew what I was asking about, I knew details, so I was able to detect quickly the fake information, the false information which GPT chat missed. And I think this will be my silver thread through everything what I'm planning to say. As people already started to tell a lot about, like, picturing the problems or like advantages of AI, one thing I wanted to add to that, it's from the Kazakhstani perspective. Let's speak like, I always like to speak from my perspective, from perspective of my country, and I know that we are not, we are just, I think we're in top 50 countries, by the way, according to International Monetary Fund ranking, among 183 countries, they listed us in top 50, which is not bad. But nevertheless, I know we are not in the leading countries for development of AI for many technical reasons, and here is MP Ponomaryov sits here in our audience. Who knows well, one of the problems IT tech companies will complain is about the infrastructure and the servers and this capacity, infrastructural capacity, which is quite expensive, and it's one of these challenges faced by our startuppers, talented coders who are like not able to develop it. From Kazakhstani perspective, what I want to say that we are usually facing disinformation not only created or tailored for Kazakhstani audience. We are sometimes on the periphery of the world conspiracy theories, and we are receiving everything else, like ended up like war against Ukraine. We have all of this back and forth disinfo flowing into us like in Russian language. We have quite a huge part of our audience today, for example, like according to the national census, it's about 12% of our population speaks fluently English, which means that they are also exposed to all of these conspiracy theories. We had it during the COVID-19 showed that we are like receiving a lot of fake news created not only in Kazakhstan or tailored for Kazakh audience, but we are receiving in many numbers, like from United States, for example. All of these strange conspiracy theories we faced during that time. And another thing I wanted to stress in that, for example, cyber threats, which is coming together with disinformation, everything, like, let's say, if we're talking about online being safe environment or not safe, according to Adelsus monitoring, we are facing increased number of cyber attacks, especially doxing against female journalists, which is 400% since 2021. It's rapidly growing. It's indeed coming up as an avalanche of all of this like doxing, cyber attacks, disinformation. However, one thing which is very challenging to say, I tried to keep a finger on the pulse, but I still don't have any researchers will understand what I mean, that we don't have enough data, information, or statistical analysis of what is the situation with disinformation in Kazakhstan, especially AI created. But what made me feel like smoother with that situation, I discovered that in the global level, we also don't have like some data to quote because it's very difficult to measure. I know that there have been several attempts to take certain amounts of like periods of times, you know, like it's a short, very like isolated researches, but we don't have like a big scale data. And so I mentioned there's 3 challenges, and the third challenge, which makes me, I will refer back to what Asil said earlier about the way how we read, the way how we makes actually influence the way how we think. Because our society, unfortunately, highly social media dependent. Social media becomes not only a source for entertainment, it's a main source for information, and we end up with seeing the world around us, Kazakhstan and our Kazakhstanis around us, through the lens of the social media. Amounts spent by average Kazakhstani on in social media accounts, 5 hours and some like, I forgot like how many minutes, 5 hours, more than 5 hours we're spending per day on social media. It's a huge amount of time. Do you know how many Kazakhstanis use TikTok? TikTok is used by 40 million Kazakhstanis. 40 million users registered from our like 9 million on Instagram. It's huge. It's huge numbers for 20 million population. It means that we are like spending all the time and we are trusting. And the question which Martina raised about like, and I want to highlight this part of her statement, speech, when she said erosion of truth. That is the key challenge for us in current environment, because the way how the world around us is really distorted by this simplified, short, and very polarized messages. And for example, there are a lot of initiatives countering that worldwide. I'm not so sure that they're very successful. I would say, for example, one of my favorite is a NewsGuard initiative, which was created by 2 fascinated journalists who worked for Wall Street Journal, award-winning journalists. And they are doing this like kind of list of non-partisan criteria where they say like, I mean, which media outlets we can trust. They also do fact check, like, I mean, they fact check for fingerprints, whatever. But the question is like they're trying to safeguard this kind of objective news coverage, trying to show their own audience, because United States is highly polarized society, and that's what we have. And I wouldn't be me if I would not end up with the solutions, right? I would. So be patient with me. A couple of minutes more. Solutions on the level of, on the national level. I want to let you know that Ekaterina Smyshlyeva, who's the lead MP at the parliament for drafting a bill on AI regulation. What is in this bill? We don't know. Why? Because it's not published yet. But they promised, already government approved the concept of development of AI till 29. So we kind of have this kind of like painted general picture that we are supporting AI, we are not restricting it, which is good to know, because I am also like very supportive of position of Asil in this point, saying that AI is fundamental for economies like Kazakhstan. We need to support it. It's fundamental for development of your generation. I see so many young faces here, because without that, I don't think we will be managed to jump on the board of the future, like your successful countries. But one thing is that we shouldn't use any regulations, and that's a position of Adelsos, to kind of restrict the freedom of speech. And that's why I hope that together with the Parliament we would be able to work closely on this draft law. Just a couple of things more. So what I wanted to highlight from this Mushliaeva's public speech statements, she said that this new regulation will request marking AI. I love this word, synthetic media. So synthetic media, everything which is created with use of AI and human, or like fully generated by AI. So these kind of products will be marked, will be required to be marked by Kazakhstani law. That is the draft idea which is in the heads of MPs. I said again, Mr. Ponomarev is with us, so at the coffee break or later when we can ask him to comment over this piece of legislation. On the level of business, I think we need to keep doing and keep demanding the government to build this infrastructure for the development. On the level of civil society, what we can do. Adelsos is launching soon, within next few months, online violence response hub. I apologize that this project is not extended for our male part of the population. It will be only targeting female journalists. But as I explained why, because 400% increase and 97% of these objects of attacks, especially for doxing, were female journalists. And that's why my concern is very focused on that area. And using this opportunity, I want to invite female ladies who are working in journalism or planning to work in journalism this Saturday on December 7th to our amazing training on cyber safety. Asil, can you say hi to everyone? She's the one who knows the details. Please interrogate her at the coffee break. And last one, on the level of personal responsibility. I think that we need keep developing ourselves as a general education, because that will be your ability to navigate in the developing world of AI. It will be your guiding light, your own education, your ability, your sense of understanding that sometimes we don't know if it's lie or not, but you need to have this idea it might be wrong. There could be something not correct. And this is based on your knowledge, on your education, on your readiness. So I really believe in technologies, but my more trust lays with humans, because this world still belongs to us. So keep reading, not only on social media accounts. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. So many times I was participating in different media forums and never been allowed to speak more than 5 minutes. This is why, as moderator, I'm being very generous towards speakers. So, Linas, my next question is to you. We know that your organization has been actively combating disinformation for many, many years. Could you please share your personal experience, and do you see AI as a threat or as an ally in this mission?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, firstly, to be in a completely female-dominant panel. It's not always happens to me, so I'm really, really happy about that. And to answer your question, I think most of the parts were already covered by other panelists, because it's kind of, we already had very in-depth arguments and the opinions about that, but I'll try to look from the perspective of my organization, which is based in Lithuania. And you're right, we've been fighting disinformation since 2018 in the whole Baltic region. And yeah, in the past probably 4 years, AI started to play an important role in both, in a positive and in a negative way. So I'll try to just emphasize on a couple of factors, because it's like a double-edged sword. So we'll start with the challenges. The main challenge is, of course, the content creation. With the enhanced AI technologies, so like we all know that we can create hundreds of images, thousands of texts, just like in a matter of seconds, and combined with the powerful tools such as super popular TikToks and Instagram in Kazakhstan, and during the emerging crisis, like when we put all these three factors together, we can have like a true wildfire with the spread of disinfo. So this is probably the main challenge. Another challenge, which was partly also covered, has a positive and negative aspect. So with the help of AI, we can target specific audiences. So I think the positive one was already covered, but the negative one is for me personally, is very, very, it looks dangerous. When the AI can assess vast amounts of the data, so the pieces of disinformation can be adapted to the exact person's needs. So it can have like a clear picture of the things what you like and what you don't like, and then when it reaches to you, like you're like a kind of a happy person. When we talk with the people who were directly exposed to this information, and we're trying to understand the reasons, trying to explain that's like why are you following those disinformation trends. So sometimes they even answer, how can it be disinformation if it's exactly what I think? So I think here we come like to very, very dangerous spot. And yeah, of course, the third major challenge is amplification. Amplification with, I already mentioned social media during the emerging crisis, but there's like other two AI-powered tools of amplifications are kind of bots and AI-powered algorithms that can help us, not us, but wrongdoers to amplify it through different accounts, like the thousands of them. Yeah, so it's something from the negative side, and from the positive side, I would just mention a couple of things that, like, for example, detection. With the help of AI, we can detect like anomalies, for example, like huge spikes of certain trends wiring around the internet. We can identify identical messages that are being distributed throughout the social media and other network platforms. Also, another positive thing, which is probably more suitable for the large tech companies, as moderation. So AI can help us to flag potentially harmful and potentially disinformative content. But for us as researchers, AI suggests and gives also pretty useful tools, and most of them are based on OSINT, so this means that they're freely publicly available. So with that tools, we as investigators, you as a journalist can try to detect disinformation. For example, like you can check whether the picture or video or the text was manipulated with the help of AI or not. Of course, it's not 100% accurate. You can never trust like a single gadget, but it's the same as like with the journalist's work. You never trust probably as a proper journalist like a single source. You're using another things. But yeah, here the human brain can help us here as well. And the fourth thing is which is really helpful with with the integration of AI in our work when we're countering disinformation and when we're following the different patterns of disinformation campaigns within the Baltics. So we're collaborating, for example, with one Lithuanian tech company, unicorn called Oxylab, which provides us as an NGO their scraping tools. And with those scraping tools, we can collect the information from different kind of social media platforms, disinformation websites that are usually spread disinformation, and we can assess the data with their tools much easily than we used to do it before. So from this perspective, it can be really helpful. And of course, like being as a NGO member, AI is extremely helpful when we need to conduct the boring reports that our sponsors and grant givers provide us for each project. So like I hope that our grant givers are not listening that, but it really helps to prepare good reports with the data that we provide. So from this perspective, I think it's also pretty useful because it can save our precious time, because our team is small, and that kind of things really help. And as I mentioned before, AI in the fight of disinfo is like a double-edged sword. On one hand, it possesses a lot of challenges for us, but on the other side, it brings us useful tools.
Okay, thank you, Linas. In many discussions on AI, and when we are discussing the topic of responsibility, we always think about journalists and about media workers' side. Could you, Linas, tell me, how can the public navigate the challenges of distinguishing the content generated by AI and, for example, an authentic media product in this era of advanced technologies?
Oh, yeah, that's a super hard question to answer. I would have a different answer 2 years ago. Now, probably my answer would be that the simple person that just like a human cannot anymore distinguish everything. For example, like we used to use pretty nice tricks when it comes to tracking deepfakes a couple of years ago. For example, there were easy steps such as just to check when you're watching the video, and if it's suspicious to you, you can check whether the person blinks with their eyes. So guess what? It wasn't like that before. The deepfakes didn't blink, and now it blinks. A couple of years ago, we've been checking the AI made pictures of people, and we're trying to count the numbers of fingers on the hand. Very oftenly they had like a wrong number. Now they usually have the correct number. So those simple things that helped us before to detect simply don't exist anymore. So from this point, I think we have to think about the broader approach. Our colleagues already mentioned the need of the government involvement in creating some kind of legal frameworks that could guide us through this age of AI. Of course, like as I mentioned, a couple of AI tools that help us to detect that possibility that some kind of images were manipulated. So this is, I think, these tools could be at our front of the fight, but these are not the only tools, and we cannot rely completely on them. I think what's really important, and it's like for the future to discuss with different stakeholders, is content provenance. There are some governmental initiatives, but there are some business initiatives as well. For example, well-known companies such as Microsoft, Adobe, they're trying to push the initiative which is called like C2PA, the Coalition for Content provenance and authenticity. So basically, like those companies are trying to build kind of a framework of the proper use of AI in creating the text or visual content. So, and it's debatable, it's interesting, but basically how it works is that those companies are suggesting a possibility to add a metadata cryptographically into the files, which will show the whole path of the image. It will reveal, it will create some kind of a transparent environment. For example, it will reveal all the journey of that video or photo from the creation through all the adaptations and it's supposed to show that even the tools which was created. Of course, this approach might be challenging for journalists because journalists might say that it's not safe for us to use that kind of data because in journalism work, it's important to have like kind of your how to say, like to stay anonymous sometimes. But I think the whole idea of this C2PA initiative is not about who is behind, not the person who is behind, not the location where the image was created, but the whole idea is to know how it was created. So I think it might answer the concerns of the ethics of journalism in this case. Yeah, so accountability and transparency was already discussed, and I think the fourth, and again, very important but very broad up thing is media literacy, and we within our organization, we're working on this matter a lot. Media literacy and the education of the broader society is one of the key goals for us, and it helps us to be not only the good citizens, to detect the regular manipulations, but also AI manipulations. So I guess these four major steps in the future will help us to navigate through the vast amounts of information in our societies.
Thank you. Yes, as you mentioned, we are seeing more and more sophisticated AI technologies, and this is where I think that we all should think about public trust towards journalists. I think that for many of my colleagues who are working still within media field, who work for traditional media companies, they are struggling with these public trust issues. Do you think that AI can help to rebuild public trust towards journalists? Maybe not now, but maybe after some time. Or will it further erode credibility towards our content that we create? What is your opinion? It's just a common question to all of you.
Yeah, can I, if I may? Okay, so I think, well, what is trust? Let's start from the very beginning. There are 4 elements of a brand. It's the reputation, it's awareness, it's emotions, and it's trust, one of the key elements. So once your audience has a trust to your brand, now we're talking about the media as a brand, right? So the credibility is very high, and then, I mean, the connections is also higher. So, and the media, which is selling the information, which is giving the information to the public, is more trusted. However, I think if we think of the future, media, like traditional media as a registered media, not just publics which can publish anything, or influencers or bloggers, in a matter of trust, they are more governed by the law. I mean, like in creating contents, so they are not allowed, at least by law, they are not allowed to publish anything that is not proved or proven, right? That has been checked. In this case, they have more trust, and the AI will help them to create more sophisticated videos, more creative content, the content will be created faster, etc. And if we're talking about trust, now the big international media, including Euronews, for example, they do have the special TV shows about the fact check. So they show what's true, what's real, because they are making these investigations, so the journalism investigation, and because the trust towards this media is high. 80% is the trust towards Euronews, for example. It's a huge, it's a very high rate out of 430 million households. It's a very high amount, high rate. So in this regards, they have this privilege of being more trusted by the public. And there was one research also, I don't remember which one, but during the pandemic, the trust towards traditional media was much higher rather than the trust to the whatever fake news by WhatsApp distributed by different doctors, which are not actually that much trusted. However, if we're talking AI, the traditional media, as I said, it is more restricted by law. And Carla, how did you call it, the synthetic media? The synthetic or the new media, they in this case have more freedom. I mean, they can publish whatever. Sometimes they are no name, so you cannot find who is the owner of this media. And they create information much faster. And it's kind of the garbage, I would say, right? Information. So they are putting everything just to be, to have the clickbait, to have more audience, to sell more information. The trust is lower, but the consumption of information is much higher. So in this, race, who wins the traditional media with their with the governance, right, and with more trusted approach, and the speed of the new media, it's just a matter of time. I think the trust is still with the more traditional media rather than the newly created media. But it's just a matter of time. I mean, we need to think of that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I am maybe not so optimistic, like in terms of like the trust development, because the thing which is might be a very interesting observation for our European guests. Kazakhstan is highly polarized audience, and this polarization actually is a matter which happened to us in maybe last 5 years. I know that we have, some maybe polarized society is not so challenging, but it raises a lot of concern for sustainability of our country, for political sustainability. And in all of that, I think we need to enhance our resilience as society against the fake news, not to be manipulated by any forces. And in my forecast, personal one, I expect that this attempt to abuse audience with the polarized fake news is going to increase within next few years. So what to do from the perspective, in that perspective, I don't want the government to be very active, actually. I want media professionals to become more active. I want media business, private media companies to finally sit down and create this ethic council with no person from the government present on this board. Ethical standards should be the matter of our concern. We should be able to establish the rules and follow it, to verify the facts, how we do it, how often we do it, and what we deliver to our audience. To gain trust back, it's a challenging exercise, but I think it's possible. What we can do as a civil society, as NGO, as I said, this NewsGuard project, which is developing in the United States, is a good example. Yes, it will be expensive, because I even tried, frankly speaking, to measure how much it will cost, I always dream and always try to find out, will it cost something achievable? it's extremely expensive. It would be expensive to establish AI because it requires a lot of monitoring. And I was like wondering, because Lina said that they are managing to monitor social media. It's difficult. When you go to IT professionals and ask them, there are only few resources in the world who do successful monitoring of social media, because they do, like some of them do something, but it's not like full data, big data coverage. It's complicated, it's difficult, and we will need, as a Kazakhstanese, special agreement with platforms like Meta, for example. Will they grant it to us? We don't have any single trusted partner in Kazakhstan. But look, Mongolia with 3 million population, they have trusted partner from Meta. So the social media platforms, big tech giants, are not so open to Kazakhstan. I know that EU, through the series of acts, including Digital Act, you managed to make them to talk to you. We can't do that. We are too small. We also always concerned about the index of freedom of speech in Kazakhstan. And at the same time, we're also facing the similar challenges from tech companies. So I'm saying this kind of initiatives like NewsGuard on the trustworthy, the list of trustworthy media outlets could be done by AI actually, but it will be expensive and it will require a lot of diplomatic not on level country by country, but people to people level agenda. So it's difficult, but we can do that. For the sake, Aygul, of for the independence of Kazakhstan, for our integrity, for remaining as a country, because to become democratic first, we need to ensure that we still have country as a whole, right?
Thank you for your perspective, Carla. We in International School of Journalism discussed the implications of using AI with our students a lot, but we also understand that after a couple of years they will receive their diplomas and will go to work for real world where their older colleagues, journalists who are working now in certain conditions might, I don't know how they will be trying to find a balance between doing their job when they have a high competition. I mean, we know that certain journalists are using manipulative headlines, for example, or aggressive headlines just to get attention. But then they try to provide good quality information because it's difficult to compete with social media projects now, very popular among a majority of people. And this is why we don't know yet, for example, how would they find that balance, I mean, between real journalism world and our students that we try and raise in a certain way with ethical responsibility, etc. So Linas, my question to you as to researching companies, I think that I said to Linas before our panel discussion that I'm trusting researchers. I hope that you will find a way how to solve all these dilemmas and problems. So maybe you could suggest, maybe you could give certain suggestions to our journalists working now within the field. Maybe you can give them, maybe you can show the way or give advice on certain strategy, how to follow this and how to keep this balance.
Super hard question. We've been fighting the same problems in Lithuania. Even the well-established media outlets are using those, as you mentioned, manipulated names for their articles, like we call them clickbait names. So but at the same time, we understand why they're doing that, because most of the media outlets are private companies, so they have to keep their workforce within the company, so they have to pay salaries. In order to pay the salaries, they need to get the attention, because the attention brings the ads from the private companies that want to promote the fast-moving consumer goods to their audiences. So this is the reason why those clickbait names appears even on normal prominent media outlets. So I don't know the answer. I think it's up to each person individually, but at least, for example, if you're using in your professional work, if you're using AI tools, so just disclose that, like say that, like this image was created by, with the help of this tool and etc. It will create at least some kind of transparency, and this might lead to the bigger trust from the population. So the same as goes with the texts. If you use it for the article, so you should put the disclaimer about that. And I think that's just like a tiny solution and suggestion how to make the work more transparent and how not to lose the trust in the media by our public.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. I think that it's time for question and answers. So if you have any question, please just raise your hand. We have volunteers with microphones. Yeah. We're waiting for a mic.
Hi, my name is Bagdoulet. I'm one of the owners of a media holding Schodim Ketta Group. My question is about the text. The pictures and the videos, they are okay. We can identify somehow. I think it's temporary stuff. In the future, we won't be able to distinguish the photos and the videos. And also, don't forget about the open source stuff. They don't really follow the rules and regulations of governments, and there's going to be no way we can distinguish them. No, and what about the text? We do make a lot of articles, and some of the parts of it are made by using AI, and also there's no visible marks of it. Should we say that the headlines are made by AI, or should we tell about that to audience, or not? How are we gonna do that? It's for all of them. I mean,
Can I just, I'm thinking out loud, okay? Let's, if we're talking about the AI as a tool for creating text, for example, so let's not mix the content, I mean, the meaning of the content and the form. I mean, the tool which is creating this content. I think, so if it's in use, just a regular use about something, and there is no opinion, or there is no investigation of the journalist, to me, I think it's okay if it is created with the help of AI, if there is a disclaimer. So the news is created with the help of AI because the news is the news. I mean,
so should we tag it?
Yeah, it should be. There should be, like, if we're talking the media, there should be a disclaimer. But I'm sure the journalists are already using ChatGPT for creating texts. I'm sure they are doing this. However, if we're talking about the investigation journalism or something more like top stories or top articles, which has contained some facts, some other information and interviews, it definitely cannot be created with the help of AI because it's in the head of a person who is creating that. So I would say, though, it's a kind of different types of the text that can be. You cannot create something like an interview. You cannot create if you don't take information from a person. So it can be corrected with the help of AI, like putting some other beautiful words, some headlines, for example. But unfortunately, not the text itself. Well, I'm using AI, for example, put the subtitles for my podcasts. I never, like, it's okay because I saved a lot of money and time on that, and I'm using that. But the information itself goes from a person who is a guest at the podcast. It's just my opinion. You may have another opinion, but yeah, let's argue.
I completely agree with you, but when you were talking about the AI-generated text, so I think is more challenging is when we're talking about the cybersecurity, not journalism, because like AI-generated texts are usually used for the phishing campaign. So this means that they are trying to get your personal data, bank codes, and etc. by sending the tailor-made the emails, which are supposed to be dedicated directly to you, and etc. So I think more dangerous is not like in the context of journalism, but in cybersecurity. But your first question was how to detect the...
How to detect, and should we tag it?
Yeah, so if you're participating in the workshop later today, so I'll show you some useful tips. But in general, you have to understand how the creation of the text works within the help of AI. So basically, since the AI possess millions of different pieces of information, articles. So when it constructs the text, its AI is trying to guess what is the best suitable next word is in that sentence. So this means that some tools might help us to detect that. Because it's like kind of like an opposite approach with that awesome tool. But at the same time, for example, in the case of native languages, sometimes you can see that regular person wouldn't use certain word in that particular sentence. So sometimes it can just like tiny remarks show us that it's made by AI, not a human, because like a native speaker wouldn't use that in that sentence.
Thank you, Linus, and thank you for your question. Next.
I'm sorry, I wanted to add to Bagdaulet's question. Love it, really. Very good and many layers question, especially on this, like, I mean, if we will not discuss ethical part of this issue, yeah, but we'll stop on the copyright matter. So basically, what we have now in the world, EU as an example, and probably on the second session they will go dive into the details of this. But generally, EU acknowledged that if it was AI assisted text or video or photo created, then copyrights belongs to the human who actually made it up. In the United States, it's more complicated because it's usually AI created, is not copyrighted. That's all full-fledged. Like, I mean, this is approach. What will be the copyright approach in Kazakhstan? This is something which is coming from January. That would, at least it's promised to become public. We will learn how they are planning to regulate this part on the copyright in Kazakhstan, and we need to become active. And I would hope that you will join this initiative at the parliament. Let's go and join the working group together.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you.
Volunteers.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья. Меня зовут Сергей Пономарев. Я здесь как журналист и как законодатель. Очень интересная дискуссия сегодня. И я как законодатель, прокачиваясь темой, уже вижу поправку, которую я внизу законопроекта, о котором мы говорили, который ведет Смышляева, моя коллега Екатерина Васильевна. Полагаю, что все публикации, созданные с помощью искусственного интеллекта, должны также обозначаться как публикации пиар, да? Наверное. Я думаю, что это разумно. Я не говорю о блогерах, хотя, возможно, и блогеров материалы тоже. Но мы пока можем рекомендовать, верно? Да, отмечайте. Но я думаю, что отметят, может быть, 1 из 10, потому что гораздо интереснее блеснуть ярким заголовком и информацией, которую сделали не вы, да, сделал за вас искусственный интеллект. Пока я знаю, мои коллеги правят еще искусственный интеллект, добавляют туда изюминку, задоринку, человеченку, но мы видим, какими темпами развивается искусственный интеллект, и совсем скоро его уже не нужно будет править, да, это уже о том, что нужна ли профессия журналистики. Но вот минувшие паводки этого года показали о том, что достаточно много публикаций негативного характера, сеющую панику, были подготовлены и выданы в Республике Казахстан с помощью искусственного интеллекта. Это внушает тревогу и тоже за вот то, что я предлагаю. Ну, я думаю, что мы еще будем дискутировать на эту тему с коллегами в вопросе, необходимо это или какое может быть наказание, предупреждение, штраф, общественные работы. Но просто хочу сказать, что каждое решение, которое принимают законодатели, они принимают, выслушав абсолютно все стороны, и только потом голосуют. Ну, я, к сожалению, не в рабочей группе законопроекта, о котором мы говорим, но я тщательно слежусь, и вот сейчас здесь прокачиваюсь этой информацией для того, чтобы знать. Но хочу я призвать журналистов к тому, чтобы вы обладали критическим мышлением. К сожалению, нам этого не хватает. Порой мы получаем информацию и там с праведным гневом выдаем ее как истину, а оказывается, что дело не совсем так, а вообще даже и совсем не так. То есть нас очень искусно вводят за нос, нами манипулируют. И я бы хотел, чтобы вы всегда выслушивали вторую сторону. Сегодня мы, журналисты, нас учат проверять и перепроверять информацию. К сожалению, не все это делают. Блогеры уж во всяком случае, не имеющие специального образования, навыков, не делают это наверняка. И это еще тоже за то, что нужно подобные материалы помечать значком. Я вам приведу только один кейс, один пример. Ко мне, как журналисту в Алматы, обратились люди, которые были просто поражены тем, что поля с пшеницей, которая уже заколосилась, с рожью, ячменем, берут и запахивают прям варварски, прям пускают под колеса бульдозеров. И мне сказали, это так, что вообще у нас же в крови такое бережное отношение к хлебу. Причем это делали представители компаний, государственной компании, там в жилетах с надписью «Алматы-Су». Я был тоже поражен просто, какой-то фашизм, варварство. И было очень много гневных материалов. Я поехал в Алматы-Су, говорю, вы действительно взяли, запахали вот так вот, прям заутюжили поля с пшеницей. Они говорят, да, мы это сделали. А зачем вы это сделали? Вообще, вы думаете, что вы делаете? Да, конечно. Дело в том, что мы отвечаем за озеро-накопитель сточных вод, озеро Сарбулак, и у нас есть специальные поля-отстойники, где скапливаются стоки 2-миллионного города, где палочка Коха, туберкулезная палочка, тяжелые металлы, гельминты, яички гельминтов, в общем, куча всякой гадости, 50 сантиметров, а эти поля взяли и засадили пшеницей, для того, чтобы загнали туда скот, и вот теперь этот скот выращивают и продают на базарах очень хорошо. И люди же не знают, что это. И поэтому мы приняли решение уничтожить эти поля. А там не то, что там кормовую культуру, там даже пищевую культуру, даже кормовую нельзя выращивать на этих полях. То есть вот такая ситуация. И когда мы объяснили, тогда люди поняли, что было просто совершено преступление, и потом, купив на базаре говядину, вы будете заражены страшным заболеванием или в ваш организм попадет ртуть. То есть этим кейсом, отвлекаю немножко вас, но я просто хочу сакцентировать ваше внимание. Всегда выслушивайте обе стороны. Это я вам говорю как репортер с 30-летним опытом работы. Рахмет.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, it's time for us to wrap up our today's panel session. I want to thank our panelists for very insightful answers. And I think that today's discussion just highlighted the contrasting outcomes of AI in journalism. While it offers, as Lina said, certain tools for combating disinformation, but at the same time, it also raises ethical and operational challenges that we still should find out how to fight. And also another, I think, a few takeaways from today's session that we should combat with the situation as united one society. I mean, that we should think about collaboration between sectors. It's about journalists, it's about public, everyone. And journalists and fact checkers are becoming pillars in this situation. And maybe all journalists, professional journalists, should think about how to and today we also have 2 workshops. And another thing that ongoing innovation must be also met by robust ethical standards. And yes, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of today's forum.
Thank you very much, dear speakers. And now we would like to ask you to gather for a group photo on the stage. We thank our speakers for the inspiring and insightful analysis. Your ideas have set a fantastic tone for our forum. We would like to ask our speakers to gather for a group photo on the stage, please.